Hi there, welcome to Nonsense Whisky. My name is VinPF, and on today's episode we're going to be going back to Glengoyne. Now, I've been a bit lax on Glengoyne over the years. I've been doing the channel for roughly 3.5 years now, maybe a bit longer, and I've covered only a handful of Glengoynes. I've covered the 10-year, I've covered the cask strength, that was back in batch 5. I did manage to go to the distillery, and I've covered things like the legacy, the chapter 1 of the legacy at least. Now, we're still waiting for Chapter 2 to come out. It was February last year. We're now in March 2020. It came out in February 2019. So hopefully they're going to release Chapter 2 of that fairly soon-ish, but I imagine they're waiting for stocks to sell out before they release that. I bet they've got that already bottled and ready to go, though. I understood it was going to be a 4-part series, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the Glengoyne 12-year-old. The next logical one up in the core range after the 10-year-old. I picked this sample up when I went to the Glengoyne distillery in February of 2019. I did a wee vlog about that, so make sure you go and check that video out as well. It's one of my first kind of out and about vlogs. So it's a bit shaky, but it's good content nonetheless, I think. It's really good to see that kind of aged distillery still working and doing the things in a traditional way. But this thing here is a 43%er. It's natural coloured, but we're led to believe it's chill filtered. Probably, at 43%, it's pretty much a good bet. But still, the natural colouring, we're happy with that, even though, really on No Nonsense Whisky, we don't really care about such things as long as the whisky is good. We're getting this in the UK for about £35 to £40, so it's on the upper end of that kind of 12-year-old level. We used to be able to get 12-year-old whiskies for, £25 in the UK. That's sort of slowly creeping up, but this is really very comparable to the rest of the market, and as we might find out as we go along, it's probably worth the money, but we'll see after the actual tasting themselves. Now, in terms of liquid that they put into this, we don't know the exact proportions. It might be out there somewhere, so if you know, drop a link in the comments below. But they use a mixture of ex-bourbon, first fill sherry and refill sherry casks to make up their bulk of their liquids. So you can imagine this is going to be a fairly sherried whiskey. They don't use any peat at all, so for the non-peat people out there, this might be one to look at. Let's get onto the nose and see what we've got in the glass. Now, it's a very light and gentle whiskey, I have to say. On the back end, there's some kind of wafts of spiciness, but it's very sherry forward. It's not overwhelming with that. It's dried fruits, kind of raisins, that sort of thing, mixed in with a bit of honey, a bit of sweetness. Nothing too sickly, nothing too sweet, but it's definitely there. Really nice nose. Let's get onto the palate. Okay. Really nice palate, I will say, right off the bat. Lots more honey. The honey's moved forward a little bit. The sherry's moved back a little bit. Both still there. And for me, on the back end, I get this kind of this weird cognac brandy vibe to it. It isn't as sweet as all that if you're into your brandies and cognacs. Usually very sweet. But this is kind of winey, grapey note to it at the back end, which I'm really enjoying. It's really nice. In terms of finish, it's medium. It's not too long, but it's really nice and sherried, but again, not overly so. We're not talking about real heavy sherry like a kind of Aberlour or something like that. It's light enough to just be a generic kind of sherry vibe going on along with the rest of it. And there's some spiciness on the finish as well. Now, I have to say, as a well-rounded whiskey, this is perfect. It's a good step up from the 10-year-old. I enjoy the 10-year-old, but I always found it lacking a little something, and that kind of something is found in the 12-year-old. Now, as these go up, I've got another sample up here. I think I've got at least the 18, maybe the 21 as well, which I should cover sooner rather than later, but you know how these things go. I think between this and the 10, though, for me, the extra money wins out, and the 12-year-old is really the way to go, especially if you've tried the 10 and you're looking just for something extra, that little bit of extra complexity, a bit of extra depth. You're going to find it here. For me as well, I've been hit and miss with Glengoyne in the past with a little bit of sulphury notes and things like that. Good example, teapot dram. Not a huge fan of the teapot dram, I have to say. I know a lot of people are, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't be, but just for me, I get that kind of dreaded sulphury note on it a little bit. Nothing like that on this, nothing like that at all. So for me, it's an absolute win. Definitely go and get this if you have been thinking about it but haven't pulled the trigger yet. And I'm sure a great many of you watching this would have tried this already, so I would love to hear your thoughts of this whiskey in the comments below. See you on the next video.